These risk markets this morning with the future trade underway. It is a clear risk off and uncertainty and fears of recession, perhaps, with S&P 500 futures down more than 5%. Brent crude down more than 2.5% with the Saudis cutting their price of oil. That's also another recessionary fear of energy is trading off. We also have a read on FX that's been trading for the past few hours. We are at the lows of the evening when it comes to the dollar versus the yen. There is a clear bid into havens that extends to Treasury futures too. Now, as to where the roadmap goes for this market, we have these assets open, but in about 2 hours time, we're going to get more liquidity.
Today, played 250 rounds of golf.
Everything's executive order because he doesn't have enough time because he's playing so much golf.
Obama ought to get off the golf course and get down there.
I'm going to be working for you. I'm not going to have time to go play golf.
He played more golf last year than Tiger Woods.
This guy plays more golf than people on the PGA Tour.
I love golf. I think it's one of the greats, but I don't have time.
If I were in the White House, I don't think I'd ever see Turnberry again. I don't think I'd ever see Doral again.
I'm not going to be playing much golf, believe me. If I win this, I'm not going to.
Donald Trump's idiotic trade war is costing him his support from Republicans in Congress, the propagandists at Fox, and now MAGA celebrities who are turning their back on Trump as the market turns down. Now, if you can remember back to a more hopeful time during the election, Donald Trump did most of his interviews with these podcasters, these MAGA celebrities. And one of the biggest was a streamer named Aiden Ross, who has been especially hurt by Donald Trump's idiotic trade war. And he is letting Donald Trump know it in a scathing freakout that he had that we're going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into this freakout from the streamer, I want to get a little bit of context first, starting with where stock futures are at right now.
And uncertainty and fears of recession, perhaps, with S&P 500 futures down more than 5%. Brent crude down more than 2.5% with the Saudis cutting their price of oil. That's also another recessionary fear of energy is trading off. We also have a read on FX that's been trading for the past few hours. We are at the lows of the evening when it comes to the dollar versus the yen. There is a clear bid into havens that extends to Treasury futures too. Now, as to where the roadmap goes for this market, we have these assets open, but in about 2 hours time, we're going to get more liquidity injected into.
So the market is plummeting, to put it bluntly. Things are falling apart. And it is all because of Donald Trump. We are seeing massive sell-offs that will continue into the beginning of the week. This is a stock market crash. You cannot term it anything else. And it is solely the responsibility of Donald Trump and the idiots surrounding him in his cabinet that have allowed him or supported him in this effort to tank our economy. And that seems like what the plan is here. Donald Trump wants to destroy the American economy for God knows what reason, but it doesn't really seem like he cares, because he's been spending all this time golfing. And before we get into Aiden Ross, there are two pieces of hypocrisy from Trump, one that he stated on the campaign trail, and one with Aiden Ross, that make this all the much worse. The first one we unfortunately see right here.
Obama, it was reported today, played 250 rounds of golf.
Everything's executive order because he doesn't have enough time because he's playing so much golf.
Obama ought to get off the golf course and get down there.
I'm going to be working for you. I'm not going to have time to go play golf.
He played more golf last year than Tiger Woods.
This guy plays more golf than people on the PGA Tour.
I love golf. I think it's one of the greats, but I don't have time.
If I were in the White House, I don't think I'd ever see Turnberry again. I don't think I'd ever see Doral again.
I'm not going to be playing much golf, believe me. If I win this, I'm not going to be playing much golf.
All Donald Trump has done since Thursday is golf. The markets continue to tank, and he is on the golf course. It seems like the only thing he cares about, which is not a shock, is himself. But that's not the only hypocrisy we see from Trump. Of course, he spoke with Aiden Ross during the election, this streamer who we are going to see freak out in just a second. And this was one of the biggest topics of their conversation.
Obviously, I saw the post you made on your app, Truth. You know, when I just saw yesterday and the day before, you know, I'm in crypto and I'm in stocks myself. And I couldn't believe what's going on. You know, you have Japan, you have everybody just falling. And I want to ask you, you know, how do we basically get it back up and flowing and back up and running? And, you know, and what's causing this?
Well, right now you have no confidence. You have somebody that now is taking over from Biden because
He just wants to stay in bed all day. He can't get up. He wants to stay in bed. It was a fraud. They tried to tell people he was competent. He knew what he was doing. And in the debate, he was adjudged to be not so good.
Yeah.
But you can go back 4 years, too. He campaigned from his basement. He didn't campaign. I said, where is this guy doing COVID? They used COVID as an...
Donald Trump, who is now somehow trying to spin this into Joe Biden's fault that he is actively tanking the economy, is also blaming Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for a booming stock market. So what is it? When does the Trump presidency start? When do we actually get to say this is the effect of tariffs? Because it's happening right now. And this hypocrisy came back to bite Aiden Ross pretty badly, to the tune of millions, if not tens of millions of dollars. This MAGA celebrity and his freakout right here.
Guys, you want me to be honest with you? I don't know how many of you guys are invested in crypto or stocks. What the is going on with our country? Guys, why am I poor? Like, what is going on in the world right now? Why the is this going on? Can somebody please explain what's going on? Why are we all losing? Why are we all negative right now? Like, does anybody know why?
I am not happy that the stock market is tanking. Why would I be? The American economy is imploding. We have a madman, I was going to say, in the White House, but like on the golf course while everything is falling apart. But it is a little therapeutic to see the MAGA just desserts. You voted for this guy. We told you what was going to happen. And now, what is playing out is what you wanted. Trade war, tariffs, chaos, idiots, owning the libs, quote unquote. Is it really owning the libs to destroy the American economy? Well, if it is, great job. You really succeeded. These people are losing everything, and they have one man to blame. It is Donald Trump. So, Aiden, if you're trying to figure out what's happening, look to the guy that you actively campaigned for. There is no hope left for MAGA, but thankfully there is for Democrats. And Jen Psaki talked all about that in this clip right here.
But I wanted to start on more of a hopeful note, because this week has been tough, but has also shown that there are a lot of people out there who are fighting back. I'd even venture to say this has been the best political week Democrats and anyone else horrified, know there's a lot of you out there, by the Trump administration and what they've done since Election Day. And what's most exciting is that this energy shift is really being driven by people across the country. Hundreds of thousands of Americans poured into the streets yesterday in communities, big and small communities too, to protest against Trump. While cities like New York and D.C. saw tens of thousands of people, big crowds also showed up in red areas too. Places like Farmington, Maine, in a county that Donald Trump has won in every election. Red Bank, New Jersey, where Trump won the county by double digits. Sedona, Arizona, in a county Trump won by more than 30 points as he flipped the state red again. Missoula, Montana, in a state where Donald Trump won by 20. So red states, blue states, swing states, people everywhere are making their voices heard. And they're doing it at the ballot box too. Because this week also, on Tuesday, the people of Wisconsin delivered a complete rebuke to Elon Musk, shown there in the cheese hat, as he attempted to buy a state Supreme Court seat. I mean, the world's richest man even went so far, and this is what you're watching on the screen right now, as to travel there to campaign with oversized checks and cheese heads. And voters basically sent the message they hated that. That's what they said. Instead, they went out to the polls and they elected a liberal judge by a double-digit margin over Elon Musk's MAGA favorite candidate. And it wasn't even just Wisconsin. Even where Democrats lost in some of the reddest corners of Florida, the outpouring anti-Trump and anti-Musk energy shaved roughly 15 to 20 points off Republicans' November margins in 2 special elections for Congress there on Tuesday. All of these are good signs. A number of people have also put their hat in the ring to run for higher office recently. People like Javier Becerra in California, Garland Gilchrist in Michigan, who I'm going to talk to shortly, and people like Mallory McMorrow.
We need new leaders, because the same people in D.C. who got us into this mess are not going to be the ones to get us out of it. I'm Mallory McMorrow, and yes, I'm running for U.S. Senate because we don't have a minute to wait. Are you with me?
And Democrats in Washington are also showing some serious signs of life. Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey held the Senate floor for 25 hours and 5 minutes. He broke the record of segregationist Strom Thurmond, that must have felt good, and reminded Americans that someone is standing up for them in Washington.
What kind of man is in our White House that makes fun of the disabled? who lie so much that the fact checkers lose count, that minimizes the pain and the suffering, where you have cabinet secretaries that are billionaires themselves that say, if my mom misses a Social Security check, but if somebody else complains about it, they're probably a fraudster. These people are not fraudsters. They're hurting. They're afraid. They're worried. For God's sake, this is America.
That was after he'd been up all night, by the way. Now, clearly, a lot of people were hungry for somebody in Washington to do something like this, because on Booker's TikTok account alone, the live stream of his speech got over 350 million likes. His YouTube account had 110,000 people watching him live as he finished this speech. And his office got over 28,000 calls. And his speech sparked, I have to say, more attention and coverage than anything else Democrats in Washington have tried since Trump took office. But other Senate Democrats joined the fight this week, too. Senator Adam Schiff placed a hold on the nomination of Ed Martin as U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. Senator Ruben Gallego pledged to do the same to block Trump's nominees for the VA in protest of Trump's plans to slash jobs and jeopardize benefits. Senator Maria Cantwell spearheaded a bipartisan push to have Congress take away Trump's power to implement tariffs. And Senate Democrats convinced a handful of Republicans to join them in voting to suspend tariffs on Canada. I'm not suggesting this is enough or that it will stop all the damage. It won't. Republicans still run both the Senate and the House, after all. Donald Trump's still sitting in the Oval Office. Elon Musk is still there all the time, too. But these are all steps in the right direction as a part of the opposition. And also this week, some of the biggest names in Democratic politics stepped back into the fray. Former President Barack Obama spoke to a crowd at Hamilton College in upstate New York on Thursday, calling out just how outrageous the last few months have been.
Imagine if I had done any of this. Let me just, I just want to be clear about this. Imagine that imagine if I had pulled Fox News' credentials from the White House press corps. It's unimaginable that the same parties that are silent now would have tolerated behavior like that from me, or a whole bunch of my predecessors.
That sounds right to me. And former Vice President Kamala Harris made a rare public appearance as well, also calling out organizations who aren't meeting the moment.
There is a sense of fear that has been taking hold in our country. And I understand it. But we're saying people stay quiet. We are seeing organizations stay quiet. We are seeing those who are capitulating to clearly unconstitutional threats.
So this week showed the Democratic Party still has a lot of life in it. For anyone who doubted, and maybe you didn't, but it's...
We have to use this moment not just as an opportunity to point out that we were right. Sure, we can do that. But what is more important is to bring people into our coalition right now, demonstrating that we have an alternative. Not just the tariffs, don't do the tariffs, don't have a stupid trade war, obviously, but also that we are ready to fight to reshape the economy in a way that actually works for people and doesn't just destroy it. For an aim that I don't even still understand. A man saying that he's bringing manufacturing back, even though his whole first term saw jobs shipped overseas. I still don't get it. No one does. So let's give an actual message that we can fight back against this and do something better. And we are going to be doing that on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you.